Next, I would like to introduce Pranoti Asher from AGU. Excuse me. Is this it? Sorry. Who is also not just, by the way, not running an REU, but came specially to talk to us about some programs that are going to be useful for us. So, thanks, Pranoti.
So I think I'm going to reintroduce myself as, oh, you're the one. So I've heard that so many times since I've been here. Yes, I'm the one that sends all those messages to your listserv. So I guess it's paying off. You know, you actually recognize my name. But anyway, it's not my name that you need to worry about. It's the programs that I want to talk to you about. So I think that's far more important. And I feel compelled to just mention this, that AGU and AGI work together on webinars for department chairs. And so if you're trying to catch some of those slides and more detailed explanation of what Carolyn Wilson was talking about, if you just Google AGU, AGI webinars, she did one in May about the same exit survey, so you can hear the full-blown webinar. Anyway, so I'm here to tell you a little bit about some of the programs, many of the programs that we have at AGU that are relevant to your students. And I was really happy to see Reggie sort of set up the framework of the preparation and the awareness piece and things like that you're planning to do with your students, because we really did that same kind of systems thinking of all the programs that we have. I was fortunate enough to be on a National Academies committee where we sort of worked on sort of the trends and opportunities in federal earth science education and workforce development sort of programs. And we created a conceptual framework in which we had a system of all the opportunities and experiences of federal programs for students. And so what I did was I used that framework to just apply it to all the programs that AGU has. So you're thinking, what are you talking about? Whoops. Okay. So we have tons of programs at AGU. Don't try to read this, okay? Because it's going to be impossible for you to read this. So what we have are programs that we have for the public. We have programs for K through 12 students and teachers and undergraduates and graduate students and faculty types and department chairs and everything else under the sun. So we started to tag those and sort of figure it out in this framework where you have programs where you are simply making somebody aware of the geosciences, right? So going to the museum is just you become aware of something called geology or minerals. Eventually, a student may progress and sort of engage in learning, and so that would be the engagement piece. They may actually enroll in school, take courses, get a degree, but then they do something that's going to help them prepare for their profession. So we tagged all our programs in this framework. And it turns out that we have a lot of programs that you could simply say that, okay, if you're interested in things for your undergraduates, okay, so that's the sort of the light orange color sort of circle there at the top, you can just remove everything else and just use the orange dots, and you can see a whole continuum of projects or programs that your students could engage in with just AGU. You could play the same game for programs that other societies have. You know, many of you are headed to the GSA meeting. You could do the same thing. A whole bunch of people are doing a lot of things, but we don't have everything connected. So that if you get an outstanding student paper award through AGU, you know, what can you do with that? You know, how can you use that to do your next thing? How can you, if you got sort of a fellowship or a travel grant, you know, what are the other things you could do? So this is just a way to sort of tie things together. You can read more about this in EOS. We published this earlier this year. Of all the programs, I mean, I could talk about each one of these, but there's one I'd like to focus on, and that happens to be the Virtual Poster Showcase, which many of you have already heard about or certainly have read about in emails. Oops, and some pictures didn't come through. So the virtual poster showcase this, if there's anything you want to remember, you just need to remember this particular slide. And this is a global program. It is a digital program. It is open to all students, undergraduates and graduate students. It is very convenient because you don't have to travel to a meeting to go present your research. I heard so many conversations about you folks talking about not having money to send your students or cobbling together money to get your students to a conference. It's not the same, obviously not. It's not the same, but it's a good way to get a student some exposure to what it's like to be at a meeting. How do you answer questions? How are you a professional? You know, how do you sort of do that little elevator speech about your science? So it's teaching you a whole bunch of skills that are necessary for success. And finally, it is providing access to all types of students, you know, whether they are at a two-year college and they don't have the money, or whether they're students who just can't go to a meeting because they have family obligations, or they have exams, right? AGU is always during final exams. So I used to be a faculty, so I never went to AGU because I was always giving exams. So anyway, so before I launch into this, I want to share sort of 3 stories. And these are stories from students that we've talked to and gotten, you know, we've interviewed them and met with them, and they're just heartwarming. This is Daniel. He's from El Paso Community College, so shout out to that. He participated in our proof of concept, and he had never been to a meeting, never written an abstract, never even made a poster. His professor said, you know, you're doing this research with me, why don't you think about it? And so he created a poster, and he got first prize. It was a transformational moment for him. That's what he told us. You know, he was blown away that he had won. He transferred on to a nearby four-year institution, and I understand he's a senior or is about to graduate or has just recently graduated. So it had a huge impact on him. I'll talk about another student from Paul. This is your student. She was from University of Hawaii. She had never, ever created a poster, never been to a conference. She was working on this international project, and her professor had forced her or convinced her to submit an abstract to an international meeting. Well, she very conveniently participated in the virtual poster showcase and got this feel for how do you do Q&A. If somebody asks you questions, how do you do that? You know, what kind of questions can I anticipate? And so based on that feedback, she tweaked her poster and had a wonderful experience at an in-person conference. Okay, so she used this to prepare for the real conference, and that's what a lot of students are telling us. Can I do a dry run before I actually go to a real conference, right? Okay, cool. Here's Michael. It's my favorite story. He participated in one of the pilots that we did, and then came back a second time. He never won or anything like that, but he just loved this thing. And for him, doing this presentation or working on creating his video sort of flicked a switch. That's what he told me, flicked a switch for him. He was working on a work-study project and decided, oh, this is what I want to do. And I love helping people, because as a student participating in the showcase, he had to help judge other students. And so he thought, this was really cool. I get to talk to people I don't know and teach them and learn from them. And so he finished his undergraduate degree, is now in graduate school, and has been begging me to be a judge. He wants to be one of the expert judges. So he has come back as a judge because he loves helping students, because that had a huge impact. That interaction that he had with that scientist that he didn't know, and the good words of advice that he got, and the encouragement that he got, and the praise that he got, it had a huge impact on him. It flicked a switch for him. And so I could tell you a lot more stories. I could stand here and just tell you stories, but I want to get to how you could use this. So all of these are sort of making a point that many of you are familiar with this report to Engage to Excel, producing 1 million STEM majors. And based on that report, the Business Higher Education Forum did a sort of a STEM sort of workforce model, undergraduate model, and they said that if you have, and I heard this before when you were talking about evaluation, if you have many things that your students are doing, if it all together, these multiple interventions is sort of a game changer. So that's what we're trying to do, is not just your students going and having an REU, but to be able to do something beyond that. And that's the kind of thing that you're talking about, Reggie, you know, and so that's what we want. Just not do the REU, but just what can you do beyond that. So one of the things in this model they talked about is research being really, really important. And we know that if you do research, you can present your research in a published paper, or you can present a poster. So let's focus on the poster piece for a moment. So we think that every student that does research, every of those 800 students that are around the country, I think it's 800 students that actually participate in a REU around the country, about that, right? Wouldn't it be great if every single one of those students could actually have an opportunity to present a paper, right? Outside, or present a poster outside of their REU, not just to their group, but outside of that, you know, in a national arena or international arena. So how many students actually are making it for posters? We know that in the US, based on the work that AGI does, there are about close to 40,000 students in the US that are enrolled in geoscience programs, and this counts those students who are in two-year colleges as well as four-year colleges. And if you look at outside of the US, there are about 65,000 students that are in, you know, undergraduate programs getting geoscience degrees. So that's, well, you can do the math. That's a pretty large number, right? Wouldn't it be great if all of those students could make it to a conference, present their poster, right? We also know from AGI that from that exit survey that Carolyn was talking about 80% of students have had some sort of research experience. I think that's what she was talking about. She was talking about internship, but she was also talking about research experience. So 80% of that number is a pretty big number. But I work at AGU, and I can tell you that we have less than 120 Earth and space science students that actually come to our meeting, right? This coming week at GSA, you'll probably see a lot more undergraduates, because it's much more friendly, it's smaller, it's not intimidating. I'm staff, and I'm intimidated by going to the AGU meeting, right? It's a sea of humanity. So the GSA meeting is a little smaller, right? So a lot of students come to GSA, but those regional GSA meetings, you know, is where the students are actually going, right? So they have hundreds of students over there. But that's still a very small number compared to, you know, the 80% of that number. Do the math, right? Now, wouldn't it be great if you could take all those students and have them come to the meeting? But we know that there are barriers, and one of them is you have to travel. If you want to go to a meeting, you have to travel. And what that means is you got to have time, and you need money, right? This is a problem. But our students, these undergraduates, they're very savvy. They know about the digital world a lot more than you and I and everybody else together in this room knows, right? They know about so many things. So this is very appealing to them, that now we have a platform, a digital platform, where you can actually present your research by, you know, uploading a poster and having a video and things like that. So we're calling it the Virtual Poster Showcase, and you can visit this URL. It's also on the bookmarks and the sheets of paper I left on your desk. Please take it. I don't want to take them back. They're really heavy. So this is what the platform looks like. We did a pilot. We did a couple of pilots, and now we are open for business, so to speak. You can have students participate from anywhere. This showcase has been sort of, we've talked about it at many meetings, and we know that there are other societies that are also our founding partners. Along with AGU, we were the sort of the ideation, you know, did the idea and the development, but Council on Undergraduate Research, the American Geosciences Institute, AMS, and GSA are our founding partners. Right? So we all believe that this is a good thing. This is a really great idea. So we've been working with them to sort of help promote the Virtual Poster Showcase. So what's involved? Well, 4 phases. If your student has been in an REU, they probably have an abstract. How many of you have your students write an abstract? Okay, most of the hard part is done, right? They're at your site, you can work on an abstract. You can submit an abstract to an ocean science division, earth science, environmental science, planetary science, and atmospheric science, thank you. So 5 division, and we also have now a division for geoscience education research. So Yes, I know. So you can also submit, students can submit to that, because there are lots of students who are master's students who are working, or PhD students who are working on geoscience education research. They don't have to be an AGU member. They don't have to be a member of any society, right? Want to make it open to everybody. Once their abstract is accepted, they can upload a poster. So if do they create a poster at your REU? Well, there you go. All they have to do is save it as a PDF and upload it, right? They also have to create a video. How many of your REU students had a smartphone? Yeah, right. So all they need is a smartphone and a friend who's willing to take a video of them standing beside their poster, if they printed one, or on a screen just like this, and say, talk about their poster, talk about their work, right? We're trying to simulate what happens in a poster hall. Hi, I'm so-and-so, this is my work, would you like to hear about it, right? Just do the 5-minute spiel on your elevator speech. So they can do that, and they can upload a video. They put it in YouTube, so it's just a YouTube link. Every student that submits a poster is required to participate in a peer evaluation. So each student has to look at posters of 3 students, and so this kind of teaches them how to be professional, how to ask questions, how to judge the science of others, learn something new, have an interaction. And these kids, they're having these interactions at 2 and 3 in the morning. But it's fascinating to watch the interaction. Wow, I learned something new. How did you build that? Oh, I think I'm going to do this in my community. So you bought all the stuff at Home Depot. Oh, great, how do you build this? Can you send me the specs? Here's my email address. And they're having all these wonderful conversations. It's fascinating to watch this unfold. I learned something new. I didn't know you could do this kind of work. I didn't know anybody studied these kinds of things, right? So it's just wonderful. So these students participate in peer evaluation, and they fill up a rubric, they give scores, and depending on how many professional scientists who are judges, many of you have helped with judging, thank you, and I invite all of you to be judges for the Virtual Poster Showcase. We figure out what percentage of those students move on to the last round, that is the expert judging phase. And the students who, again, they go through the same kind of process of being reviewed by judges, asynchronously, asking questions, and then submitting the scores through a rubric. The top posters are recognized. We have every student that participates gets a certificate of participation. They have an abstract that is citable, so we send them information about how they can cite their abstract, and that abstract is then part of the AGU database. So if you go to the AGU database, you're looking for a fall meeting, abstracts, you can search for Virtual Poster Showcase abstracts, right? So they can do that. The first, second, and third prize winners get plaques. That's why you saw all those students standing with their plaques. We asked them to send us pictures. They all get a free membership to AGU for 1 year. And the first prize winner gets to redeem a student travel grant for the next year's meeting. That means $500 if they're US and $1,000 if they're an international student, and they get a free registration to the fall meeting that following year. So real prizes, so it's a real thing. And it's been just great to watch the students participate in this. So you're thinking, where are they coming from? In 2015, when we had 3 pilots, we had about 71 students. The undergraduates mostly came from the US, and the graduate students came from around the world. And many from South Africa. There were some from South America, but I think they're hidden by the red dot on top. So we have no idea how they found out about it, but we're really pleased they participated. We had one showcase this past spring, and again, it was for undergraduates, and again, you can see mostly from the US. So the fall undergraduate and graduate showcase is going on right now. It closes for abstracts next Thursday, so shameless plug, go check it out. If you have students who are interested, you're welcome to participate. So in case you're thinking, what do we know, what do they gain, how are we tracking these students? We ask them about their confidence in preparing posters or in presenting their, talking about their science through a video. That's where we saw the greatest gain. In terms of, will they recommend it to a friend? 7.8 out of 10. We asked them about, are you planning to put this in your resume? All of those numbers are high, saying that they really valued this experience. They write us lots of stories and narratives about, how it impacted them. And when we ask them, how did you find out about this? They say, well, my professor told me this. So I'd like to ask all of you to consider, I don't know why the pictures are not showing up, but that's okay. You know, join the movement, you know, it's sounding like a cult here. Encourage your students to participate. If it's too late for your REU this year, if you're teaching courses and, you know, where you're doing research with your students during the courses, you can participate, even, you know, add this to your curriculum. If you're interested, I can talk to you more about that. And please participate as a judge. Figure out what it's all about. You know, it doesn't take but 2 hours of your time. You can follow us on Twitter, and you can certainly learn more on the website. We have a tutorial, so you can also learn what the 4 steps are. It goes through the whole process. So I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Do you archive some of the top posters so
yes.
that
So they're
we can
on the web. If you go to the
send
web
students-
page, if you just scroll down, you can see examples.
Yeah, because
And then
that's
all
what
the-
send them to look
Yeah,
at.
it's all linked there, the first, second. So now we have several showcases worth of posters and videos. And certainly the abstracts, all the abstracts in the database. Yeah.
There a registration fee?
Okay. There is no registration fee, but there is an abstract fee. So if it's $35, it's just so that, you know, you have skin in the game, you actually get to complete the whole thing. So we see very low attrition rates. That means we get lots of students who register, but, you know, about 75 to 80% of them actually submit an abstract, and most of them finish it all the way through, right? So if you have a little skin in the game, then you're more likely to complete the whole process. If you're a faculty and you're trying to get it for a whole group of students, we can help create a coupon code, if you will, for you, so that we can invoice you and your students can just you know, use that coupon code to pay for the abstract. So it's only $35. And if you're from several countries, you know, World Bank countries, there's no fee, you know, $0 for those students. Actually, we have several students from a current REU that are participating in here. I created a coupon code for them, and then the USGS has an internship, so I created coupon codes for them. One of the NASA groups created coupon codes for them. So all of these students who are participating in the summer internships, they're all in the showcase this year. Thank you.